The sound of bats cracking under a Caribbean night sky tells a different kind of story. Not the story of superstardom, not the story of guaranteed contracts and red carpet arrivals, but the story of survival. On a dusty Winter League field in the Dominican Republic, Eloy Jiménez is swinging again, not for headlines, but for relevance. And quietly, almost deliberately, the Toronto Blue Jays are giving him another chance to be seen. This is not a blockbuster signing. It's not a press conference move. It's a whisper in an off-season filled with noise. And yet, it might be one of the most human decisions Toronto has made all winter. Because this is the second time in 3 months the Blue Jays have circled back to Jiménez. That alone raises questions. Teams don't usually rewind the tape unless they believe there's still something left on it. According to Dominican journalist Mike Rodriguez, the Blue Jays and Jiménez agreed to a minor league contract with an invitation to spring training. A deal that costs little financially, but carries emotional weight measured in years. Years of promise, years of frustration, years of wondering where it all went wrong. To understand why Toronto would make this move, you have to rewind nearly a decade. In 2016, Eloy Jiménez was untouchable, an elite prospect, a future cornerstone. He was the jewel alongside Dylan Cease in the trade that sent Craig Kimbrell to the Cubs. Cease would eventually become a Cy Young caliber arm, and just signed a massive long-term deal with the Blue Jays. Jiménez, meanwhile, was supposed to be the thunder in the middle of a lineup for years to come. In 2019, it all seemed real. 31 home runs, 4th in Rookie of the Year voting. A player who looked like he was just getting started. But baseball doesn't promise linear paths. That 2019 season, 122 games, remains a career high. Injuries followed, one after another. Soft tissue, lower body, the kind of setbacks that don't erase talent, but steal rhythm, confidence, timing. By 2024, the White Sox moved on, trading Jiménez to the Orioles for a virtually unknown pitching prospect. The transaction barely made waves. Once a franchise centerpiece, now a footnote. Last season, Jiménez bounced between organizations, including stints with the Blue Jays and Rays systems, managing just 3 home runs and a .673 OPS across 54 games. Numbers that don't scream comeback. So why now? Why Toronto? The answer may lie far from Rogers Center. In the Dominican Winter League, Jiménez has quietly looked different, healthier, stronger, more confident, facing real competition, playing with urgency, not because he's chasing legacy, but because he's chasing another chance. And the Blue Jays noticed. Toronto's front office has spent this offseason operating on 2 timelines at once. On one hand, they are all in on winning now. Big contracts, big names, a roster built to chase the final out of the World Series, not just another playoff appearance. On the other hand, they've shown a growing interest in low-risk, high-upside reclamation projects. Players whose tools once terrified pitchers. Players who might still have something to give if placed in the right environment. Eloy Jiménez fits that profile perfectly. There is no pressure here, no guaranteed roster spot, no promises beyond an invitation to compete. Toronto's lineup is already one of the deepest in baseball. Jiménez doesn't need to be a savior. He just needs to be useful. A right-handed bat off the bench, a depth piece. Or maybe, if everything breaks right, something more. For Jiménez, this is not about comfort, it's about survival. At 28 years old, he's no longer a prospect. He's a question mark. A player whose name still carries memory, but not certainty. Spring training in Florida won't be forgiving. Every swing will be evaluated. Every at-bat weighed against younger, healthier, cheaper options. And that's exactly why this matters. Because sometimes, the most compelling stories in baseball aren't about stars arriving, but about former stars refusing to disappear. For the Blue Jays, this move says something subtle but important. It says they are confident enough in their core to take a chance. Confident enough in their depth to gamble on upside. Confident enough to believe that talent, even bruised and delayed, doesn't simply vanish. For Jiménez, this might be the last open door. Not a spotlight, not a guarantee, just an opportunity. And in a season where Toronto is chasing history, this minor league signing is a reminder that baseball is still, at its core, a game of second chances. Sometimes, the loudest stories begin in silence. Do you believe Eloy Jiménez still has something left to prove in the majors? Or is this simply the final chapter of a story that once promised so much? The swing is coming. The answer won't be long behind.